Hi everybody, welcome to a special demo of Biotree products. My name is Vivian and I'll be taking you through 5 recipes today where I'll share with you how vinegars and also fermented products from Biotree can actually make really versatile products. Our first recipe today is actually cashew mayonnaise. Now you may ask me, why is it that I would choose Biotree products to actually make all of these recipes? Firstly, I'm a personal consumer of Biotree products. Today's first recipe, which is the cashew mayonnaise, makes use of the aromatic organic brown rice vinegar. Vinegar, as many of you might know, has beneficial effects on the liver. Vinegars are actually very important because they have an emulsifying function on fat products. Today's mayonnaise is actually an egg-free, gluten-free mayonnaise. The reason for this is because for many people, they are allergic or sensitive to eggs. For some people, eggs actually cause a lot of mucus. So after many years of experimentation, many people have decided to come up with plant-based mayonnaise, which are just as delicious and have wonderful effects on the food that they prepare. So I'll now begin to show you how easy it is to make this eggless cashew mayonnaise. I have prepared here the main ingredient, which is cashews, which have been soaked overnight, or if you don't have time, 2 hours will do. Make sure that before you put the cashew nuts into the blender, they are soft and plump and juicy. To 1 cup of cashew nuts, we want to put an equivalent cup of water into the blender. What goes in next, please pay attention. For seasoning, we will actually use Bragg's amino sauce, which is an unfermented soy sauce you can purchase from health food stores. But if you don't have this at home, some simple Chinese-based or Kikkoman soy sauce will do. Next, our star ingredient here, which is the aromatic organic brown rice vinegar. Vinegar is an important step to add on to the blender because this is the ingredient that will emulsify the entire mixture together to keep it creamy. Our next ingredient is actually pure lemon juice. Over here, you've got the juice of half a lemon. What lemon does is that it perks up the flavor of the cashews and makes it really refreshing in terms of taste. Plus, it will also help the vinegar to emulsify the entire mixture more efficiently as well. To this entire mixture, we will add good quality organic olive oil. Olive oil is an important ingredient because it adds the additional fat and oil for us to emulsify the mayonnaise. The next ingredient we're going to add on is the garlic. With a powerful high-speed blender like this, we only need to add in the clove of garlic. Just 1 clove will do. You don't really want to scare people away with garlic breath. And we leave the skin on intact because the blender is actually going to pulverize the nutrients of the skin and mixed into the entire mixture of the cashew mayonnaise. So here it goes. Finally, seasoning ingredients for the mayonnaise. Food cannot do without salt. So here, we actually use really good salt to complement the entire recipe because the vinegar is of such high quality, there is no point using poor quality salt. At this point, we're actually going to use pink Himalayan salt because this type of salt actually brings out the flavor of the entire mixture really well. But we want to be careful with the salt, not to overdo it, so we'll first add half a scant teaspoon. We can add more later on. And for that cheesy, creamy, full-flavored taste of mayonnaise, we will add nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is actually going to enhance the entire mixture. Plus, I've been told that when they actually ferment the vinegar, yeast is also added to it. So the entire mixture is just full of good B vitamins. Now we're ready to blend. Make sure that as you blend, the lid of the blender is fully shut. Have your hand on top of the blender just to make sure that the entire mixture doesn't fly and fall apart. And here we go. So here we've actually started blending the mixture. Have the blender on for at least 1 minute or 60 seconds because the additional blending time ensures that the entire mixture becomes more and more creamy. We're going to do a taste test now to see whether it's salty enough. So there's a proper way to test and taste food. Take a dollop of the cashew mayonnaise, put it on top here, and the dab. It just needs a little bit more salt for this particular recipe, just another scant half teaspoon more. So as you're making this blender, taste as you go along because some of us here might want more salt, some of us here might want less salt. And just blend it for say another 30 seconds or so. And there you have it. Beautiful cashew-based mayonnaise. So now that the sauce is finally ready, the mayonnaise is a really beautiful, rich, creamy color. Take a look at this. Don't be afraid of the watery consistency. This mayonnaise, as it sits in the fridge, also gets to thicken in 2 or 3 days. And I think the best way to serve this mayonnaise with is with a bowl of chips. Hi, welcome back. We have another recipe for you today using Bharati products. In particular, we'll be using 2 types of vinegars and also one of their pineapple enzymes blend to actually make a beautiful sauce for this new Asian slaw with hawthorn flakes. This particular recipe is a bit different from the coleslaw that you would eat outside. Firstly, because it's actually made from whole food ingredients such as Bharati products, pickle and sushi vinegar, the aromatic brown rice vinegar, and the lovely sweet enzymes from pineapples. Let's begin by looking at how we're going to actually deal with the cabbage as well as the carrots, which will form the basis for our recipe. I have on hand here purple cabbage, which I've chosen for its beautiful color and its antioxidant properties. Here, the cabbage has to be treated first before we actually use it. So to about 2 cups of purple cabbage, you will add about 1 teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt. As you add it in, you're going to massage the cabbage until the juice comes out of the cabbage. Drain the juice away, wash the cabbage with a little bit of water so that it gets rid of the excess salt and leave it, set it aside to allow it to marinate for a slightly longer time. So after we've dealt with marinating the cabbage, it's time to move on to the sauce. The sauce that I'm demonstrating here today is another creamy sauce, but not to worry, it doesn't have a trace of butter or eggs, just like our earlier recipe for the cashew mayonnaise. Today, the special thickening ingredients are your 2 vinegars as well as the enzymatic blend of pineapple. At the same time, we'll be using organic tofu to give the coleslaw the nice creamy texture and the look that you're so used to. First, let's add the ingredients into the blender. To the blender, I'm going to actually add the juice of 1 orange, sesame oil. I like the toasted blend because the fragrance is a lot more pronounced when it comes to the coleslaw. And then we add in the vinegars. This is the pineapple vinegar, pineapple enzyme, aromatic brown rice vinegar, pickled sushi vinegar, and olive oil for emulsification. And a surprise ingredient here, because it's our new Asian type of slaw, we're going to actually add a couple of teaspoons of good quality Japanese soy sauce. Now, if you don't have Japanese soy sauce, your regular brand of soy sauce will also do. Finally, we're actually going to add in half a cup of organic, soft or smooth silken tofu. And from this point onwards, it's really very easy. Like our blended cashew mayonnaise recipe, all you need to do is press the button. Because the tofu is so soft, you really don't have to blend it so long like we did with the cashew mayonnaise. Just about 10 to 20 seconds of blending will do. As soon as the tofu has actually emulsified and softened and blended right into the mixture, that will do. For a final touch, to allow the recipe to become more piquant and alive, we add just a tiny squeeze of kaffir lime juice into the blender. You just simply do a very quick blend, just to make sure all the ingredients are mixed properly. So while this is actually allowed to develop the flavors for a few minutes, let's look at how we're going to assemble our coleslaw together. I always like to use a big huge tub to make coleslaw because I like to actually mix the coleslaw by hand. There's just something about using your hands to make the coleslaw that makes it a lot more delicious because the warmth of your hands actually breaks down the fibers as well as the enzymes in the recipe. We're going to add more carrots, as well as the marinated cabbage that we did earlier on. Now you may ask, do we need to actually marinate the cabbage as well? There's no need to because the cabbage fibers are actually quite fine, unlike the cabbage fibers that need a little bit more work. And to the entire mixture here, you can see how pretty it is. I'm actually going to add the marinated cabbage, a lot more of it. And before we pour in our sauce, there's one other ingredient that will make the entire coleslaw come alive in your mouth. And that's hawthorn flakes, or sanzang as we call it in Chinese. I've added this ingredient in because it actually helps with digestion. So I've actually cut them into thin flakes and just simply drop them into the entire mixture. Couple of finishing touches, we're going to actually add rough torn leaves of apple mint. So it's a beautifully thick aromatic dressing into this bowl. Make sure your hands are clean before you do this and simply massage. Massaging is an important component of making a coleslaw because it allows the flavors of the marinade to blend together with the rest of the vegetables. Plus it makes sure that the entire mixture is actually well tossed and all the sweet, sour, minty, creamy textures are combined together. Make sure that it's well combined, and I wish you could actually be here because as I'm tossing this, the smell and the fragrance of the vinegar and the sesame combined together, my mouth is actually watering already. So I've prepared a bowl here with fresh organic lettuce leaves. Line the plate with some cucumbers for texture. And then all you have to do, if this is an individual salad serving, grab hold of a bunch or handful of coleslaw. And decorate it on top. And there you have New Asian slaw with hawthorn flakes. Welcome back. We have another recipe for you, this time using pickle and sushi vinegar from BioTree to make tomato pickles. Usually pickles in Asia are made from ingredients like pineapple, cucumber, chili, and so on and so forth. But there's bountiful tomatoes. So what are we going to do with them instead of eating them raw? Besides, tomatoes are also much more nutritious when they are cooked. So today I've actually developed a sort of a vinegar or vinaigrette, you may call it, so that we can actually soak our tomato pickles inside it and let it ferment for about two to 3 days. Let me show you how to actually make the marinade. In a clean bowl, add in a cup of water, BioTree's pickle and sushi vinegar. This is a very special vinegar because there's a little bit of sugar that's already added in, and aside from making really great nori rolls, it also makes great pickles. So to that, we add in the vinegar, scant bit of sugar, not too much because there's already sugar in the vinegar. You may ask, isn't white sugar unhealthy? Well, sometimes for the sake of preserving the color of the tomatoes, for instance, some white sugar is actually alright. To this, I will add a pinch of salt. Because anything sweet or sourish requires a little bit of salt to balance it out. And then here come my favorites. This is actually candied orange peel. Put a few slices inside it. The other type is a slightly saltier orange peel. Both of these are available at the supermarkets or your Chinese grocery stores. To this entire mix here, soak it for about 5 minutes. And once you see that the candied peels are softened, give the entire mixture a good stir until the sugar is dissolved. Now some of you might want to actually boil this vinegar mixture over a slow fire and take it off after it comes to a boil for about 5 minutes. Either way, the vinaigrette works. The reason for boiling is because for some people, boiling actually removes the sharpness or the acidic taste of the vinegar. But the pickle and sushi vinegar that we're using here is actually quite mellow in flavor, so boiling is actually really not necessary. So to this entire mixture, we add the cherry tomatoes. Now a word here about the cherry tomatoes. What I've done is I've actually scored the top part of the tomatoes in a little cross. Drop these tomatoes in boiling water to blanch for exactly 10 seconds only. So remember, 10 seconds. Anything longer, it will just turn into ketchup. You don't want ketchup, do you? So that makes it a lot easier for us to peel the skin off the tomatoes. The skin is not what we want to add on to the pickles because the skin is actually quite indigestible. So once you've removed the peel from the tomatoes, it's ready for pickling. Prepare a whole lot of the tomatoes before you actually do the pickles. Once the pickles are done, you just add it in, give it a good stir. Okay. And set it outside at room temperature for about half a day to allow the flavors to seep in together. Once they're ready, you can bottle it like this in pretty jars and give it away to friends as gifts, or even use it on top of salads. I've also done an interesting variation of the tomato pickles. I understand that in Malaysia, strawberries are abundant, so I've also done a strawberry pickle version. The difference between the tomato and the strawberry versions would be simply how the strawberries remove the stem as well as the leaves around it. Quickly blanch the strawberries in a bit of water for exactly 10 seconds or so. Remove the strawberries from the hot water, allow it to cool, and proceed to use as per normal with the marinade. Enjoy! I'd like to show you a really easy way to make dressing for noodles. One of the favorite noodles that most Asians like to try out would actually be Hiyashi Chuka, which is a Japanese version of cold noodles. But a lot of people think that the sauce is actually really difficult to make. It's not. I'm going to show you how. And you don't really even need a bowl for this, but you do need a container for this. So just grab hold of any glass jar. Okay, why glass? Because once you've done the dressing, you can store it, and anytime you're ready to use it, you can just pour it. So to this glass jar, I'm actually going to add Bio-Tree's pickle and sushi vinegar. I really like it because it's not just for sushi, you can also use it for cold noodles. Pour that right in, together with a little bit of toasted sesame oil, some good Japanese soy sauce. Now, if you don't have Japanese soy sauce, your regular soy sauce at home would do as well. Add according to taste. Miso paste. You can use regular white miso if you have them, or if you have brown miso like this one, you can do that too. And an additional touch is actually chili oil. Give this particular mixture a bit of a stir first, just to dislodge the miso. Cover the lid really tight. Place your thumb over the top of the lid and with the base of your hand support the entire bottle and give it a nice good shake. Make sure that as you shake, you can actually see the vinegar and the oil emulsifying. Bring the mixture in together. And you should get like a nice thick brown liquid. Before we use the seasoning, we want to make sure that our layout is pretty. So to present your Hiyashi Chuka, include a little bit of cucumber, yellow with the egg strips, a little bit of red with the tomato. This is freshly sliced tomatoes. You want to arrange it. And then Hiyashi Chuka uses traditionally ham, which you can slice, but we've also done a vegetarian version to show you that you can actually use tofu strips. And let's not forget, Hiyashi Chuka also needs some ginger. Ginger goes really well with pickles and also with vinegar sushi because it draws out the acidity and the sourness and mellows it slightly. You can also chill it in the fridge before you actually use it so that it's nice and cold. And when you're ready, just drizzle it over the noodles. If you have any leftover, remember to cap it and keep chilled. This dressing keeps really well in the fridge for about 3 weeks. So here we have the final presentation for cold soba noodles or Hiyashi Chuka with bio trees, pickle and sushi vinegar. We have our final recipe for today, which is a French vinegar potato salad. Now, you might wonder why vinegar in a potato salad? Well, I learned this recipe actually from a French chef who's a really good friend of mine. And he said that in France, potato salad is usually accompanied by vinegar because the richness of the cream as well as the substantial feel of the potato requires some vinegar to help with the digestion. Plus, it also adds a really piquant, sour aftertaste, which makes people want to eat more rather than less of the potato salad. So what I've done is I've actually assembled the list of ingredients here, including our 2 stars of the show. I'm actually going to use both the pickle and sushi vinegar as well as the aromatic organic brown rice vinegar. Also, the cashew mayonnaise that we were using earlier on just now will go right into the mix. So how to begin? Well, you know, like most busy mothers, I really don't like washing up after cooking. So what I've done is I've actually quartered roasting potatoes and placed it in a pot to boil. Once these potatoes are boiled, I will discard the water and leave the entire mix here to cool. Now you'll notice that the potatoes here have their skin on. Our family likes to have potatoes with skin on simply because the nutrients are found in the skin, plus the additional mineral salts that are found in the skin means that I don't have to use any salt for this recipe, and which also means that the 2 vinegars that we're going to use are really going to stand out really nicely. So to this mix, we are actually going to add a dash each of brown rice vinegar, pickle and sushi vinegar. Why these 2 vinegars? Because the slight sweetness of the pickle and sushi vinegar is going to melt very nicely with the sour cream. To this mixture, I'm going to add chopped up egg wedges, hard-boiled. Traditional French potato salad has ham. You may add ham if you want to, chopped up or slivered, but we've opted to make this a vegetarian dish as well. So we're actually using pan-fried tofu until it's slightly brown. As you can see the mixture here, it's a nice earthy country rustic kind of a look. But how to add more fiber to this particular mix that will also help the vinegar to taste even better? We've added sauteed mild white onions to this, caramelize it a little bit in olive oil, and finally, the cashew mayonnaise that we made earlier in the day. And then what potato salad would do without spring onions. We'll give it a nice good toss. Make sure that as you're tossing, you're also breaking up the potato wedges at the same time so that the cream, the mayonnaise and the vinegars are well combined. Into the finished product, we'll just add a little bit more of the spring onions. And there you have it, French vinegar potato salad.